find Florian Wirtz, I can put him back on the pitch. And the reason I'm talking about Wirtz, and we'll talk about a few others, it is right. We have a bit of individual focus as well. And some players on the pitch at the start. I mean, Ekitike, Barts. I mean, in a good way, if I was to draw his heat map, I could be dragging this kid everywhere. I thought he dropped deep to link. He had touches. The finish is great at the Cop End, like you said. Gets a goal and assist on his debut. But I think especially in the Cop, you saw it. The work rate more than anything. The intelligence, which, not trying to be harsh, but maybe is, the previous number 9 didn't necessarily always have. There just seems so much to like about Hugo Ekitike. What do the stats tell the story of for this game for him?
Just to back up what you said there, you were there, intelligence, absolutely spot on. Like that finish, people talk about, yes, it's a bit of luck to get to it, but we've got used to the previous number 9 getting to that position and smashing it over the bar, right? That's just been the way it was, whereas he gets in there, opening day, 60-odd thousand people, pressure on you, right? It's 0-0. And he just goes, yeah, do you know what? I'll put it in there. Thanks. Cheers. That's 1-0. And then I think he just went on. One of the things I was really impressed with was, I don't know whether this came through in the ground, but his ability to bring other people into play.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things you can look at that for is if you play the ball into him, how effective is he at receiving it? And he received 21 passes and didn't let any of them go. So 100% receiving rate, which allowed him to then go, right, you can have that. You can have that. Yeah. You can have that. And it was nice to see. He carried the ball as well. 9 carries, 22% as progressive, which, considering, we've done this enough now, to be progressive, it has to be over 20 metres. So he's playing that hard at the pitch. He still found time to progress the ball 20 yards towards goal. And he's shot accuracy 50%. So that's how many of his 4 shots were on target. Yeah, 2. And shot quality slightly reduced because one of them he skied. So, he won them. And it would have been good. I think he had a header, which, the header he posed by, sorry. That was a really good chance in terms of XG, but he just didn't get on target. So, but he made 2 key passes. We always look for the number of shots. I think one of the problems with his predecessor, he was around 2.5 shots a game. He had 4 in this game at Ekitike. So, nice. I think some really good signs there that he's taken on board his role. Yeah, I'd loved him to play 90 minutes, but he just clearly isn't fit enough to do that yet. Yeah. I thought his involvement with the team in terms of build-up was really good. He linked with Flo. He linked with Mo better in this game, which is one of the people worried about in the Community Shield. He linked with all of them really well. He actually got the assist for Cody's goal as well. So, generally speaking, I thought a good performance. Man of the match might be slightly, maybe, but I mean, he's a kid, opening day, maybe that's why they went for him. Only 67% pass success, but otherwise, I thought for a kid, people were questioning him. I both seen it on the socials and is he going to be ready? This kind of thing, and I thought, to be fair, it was a very impressive debut performance from him.
Yeah. Absolutely. You do get the feeling from that he's going to be a key part of this team and crucial to us at certain points. But so much to like. And man of the match, I get why. Goal and assist on your debut. That's
sure.
Play a part as well. But not to be knocking it up. Great performance. So that's one of the 4 signings that started. The other 2 here, and I think it's important to set context for this because we've dragged Kirkes alongside Van Dijk. It's quite clear the instruction was for him to invert in this game. That was so clear early on, a bit like you saw at the Community Shield where he was. And I think it's important to say that, for number 1, when we bought Kirkes, he thought, as we've talked about and done reviews on him before, roadrunner, bombs up, pace galore, what's his skill, pace, recovery, and getting the ball in the box. That's not always the byline, just his skill is at getting the ball into the box, and that's what you think Liverpool bought. But in this one, he didn't go very often. He was clearly under instructions to stay at home alongside Virgil. And the second part to that is he was up against a beast in Semenyo, an absolute beast. And it was quite clear what a Bournemouth's tactics was, especially from goal kicks, and to hit Semenyo on the diagonal, which is a massive ask for Kirkes. So that, I think that's got to be said. Rashness we'll talk about, of course, and diving in, and all that will come into the mix. Frimpong, debut again. I thought decent. I mean, it's exceptional, but decent. In his defence, it kind of went to shit a little bit when Endo went there right back. But apparently, as we're told, he feels his hammy. So it is that context is everything, I think, for this, Bart, when we assess what do the stats say for these two new fullbacks.
So I think, Kirkesh, you're right. I think context is really important. Who he's playing against, right? He's playing against the Premier League regular. He's playing against an old teammate as well, right?
Yeah.
That does have an impact on a player, whether you think that's an intangible, whatever else, but it does have an impact. Players are human at the end of the day, right? So, but it wasn't his greatest performance. He had a top speed of 30 kpm. Those who have got FOTMUP as an app, they have the physical data in now. So 30 kpm, and I think he made 11 sprints. Okay, which is interesting. Your man who he was up against made 10 sprints and had a top speed of 33.8. So you can see he was slightly outpaced on a few of them, which partially explains some of the rashness, right? But I mean, I don't know which way to go with it. So he made 26 carries, right? I know when we reviewed him, we were like, he's going to be up and down, up and down, up and down. You're right, though. He was kind of trying to be that rest defence player in there, trying to tuck in a little bit more than maybe we thought he was. But he still made 26 carries, which is the third highest for a defender. 15% of those progressive, so not as much as he was doing at Bournemouth, but still. Dual rate, only 50%, which is a little bit of a disappointment. An aerial was unfortunately 33%, which we did actually point out in a lot of the reviews was a weakness of his game, right? Actually, both of our fullbacks have a weakness in that area. 93% passing, not a lot to be knocked at for that. XT-wise, created 0.08, which is only second to BVD in terms of defender. So, again, not too bad. Some of the key elements that weren't great. So the threat he faced from a XT or APV, whichever one you want to use, perspective, he lost 52% of that.
Yeah.
Right? And all the other defenders scored 100%. So on a 1v1 basis, if you're stopping really threatening, which scores in the XT charts, he was only 50-50 doing that, which matches up with Jules as well. So there's so on the key stuff, he didn't have a great game. 49 touches, second highest for a defender, which you'd expect. It's a fullback. He's DVD. So I think there's clearly areas he's going to improve. But I think he's got to learn how to play for Liverpool. He's got to learn how to play next to BVD. He's got to learn his new inverting thing. So I think one thing I didn't know is, and I have watched him a lot before because we've been interested in him since January, would you say? He's incredibly one-footed. He's incredibly left-footed. Like, it's a couple of times when he's trying to pass it to the side, he still plays with his left foot, whereas if you just open up and play with it right, that would have been an easier pass. But I think an okay debut. I think he got taken off because he got booked. Receiving rate was only 63% success as well, which you'd expect to be a bit higher for a because you don't normally receive it under pressure. So, but some areas for him to improve on, but some shoots there in terms of his carrying, his XT, that he could do better. Could show signs that he's going to be all right moving forward.
Yeah.
Frimpong, top speed is 36.1, I believe. Let me just double check that I've read that right, because that is extremely high. 36.1, did 20 sprints in the game, right, which is the highest. So in 60 minutes, he did more than double the amount of sprints the next player. Sorry, more than double the Semenya. Sorry, there is a guy who's on 26, he did 490. So in terms of physical output, exactly what we thought we were getting with him. So in terms of his overall, defensively, let's look at him because people were questioning him when he first arrived. Dual success, 75%.
Nice.
Not to be knocked. Didn't compete for an aerial, so we can't knock him on that, and he stopped 100% of threat. So, he recovered the ball once as well, which is good, and won a couple of fouls. In terms of touches, which is where, because he was more, as you've got it there on the screen, he's a bit higher up, wasn't he, than Kirkes? So Frimpong's, he had 39% of his touches in the middle third and then 21% in the final third. Okay, so whereas Kirkes was almost 59% of his touches in the defensive third. So it shows you that there was that definite split in terms of where they were being asked to play. Carries for Frimpong, which is normally a strong point for him. He made 33% of his carries were into the final third, and he made 12 carries. All right, so that's a good amount, should we say, for in 60 minutes. And in terms of progressive, 17% of that's progressive. So I think he did exactly what we expected him to do.
Yeah.
I actually think he was slightly better defensively than I was expecting as well. Because I and one of the things that you made a big point about why we were signing him very early on is that recovery pace to get back and help us. You could see that in abundance. And I think we just got to tune that so that when he does get back, he makes the right play, not just commit a foul or something else. It's something. And he had this habit of hugging the player, trying to tackle him. But at least he was stopping the player. That's what I was saying. It was just funny watching him trying to wrestle this massive player out of the way a couple of times. But no, overall, I hope he's okay for Newcastle. Slot said after the game that at halftime he felt that Hammy said they were only going to give him 10. And that's fine. Bradley's a bit far away, so but now Joe's back. Maybe they shared a game with that. But no, I thought in terms of what we thought he was going to do, yes. Could he link in better with Mo? 100%. But that's another question for another day.
Yeah, you do wonder about that. It's almost unfair, I think, with Frimpong because he's measured against the previous incumbent, isn't he, at right back and how that works. So it is unfair. But it was telling. I think that's right. I think it's fair to say Frimpong has a better game than Kirk has. There's little doubt of that because he's 75% dual success, stops 100%, which is a big positive actually from this. He is far better defensive-wise than I think a lot of people gave him credit for. Kirkes, when you're only winning a third of your aerial, yes, it is Semenyo, but beating the yellow card, just always diving in with something that everyone's looking about. I know it's different to put or difficult to put an tangible on that. It's, interesting. Mixed, not disaster, but probably a better debut from Frimpong than Kirkes. Interesting. And this boy, I honestly think, Bart, I've seen the reaction to Wirtz's debut, and it's just like extreme either way. It really is. I think people go too hard. And I also see some, and I think, no, that's defending him a bit too much and trying to make out it was a brilliant debut. For me, it was just decent. Sometimes he played nice little passes at times. There was nice link play. We're always still as a team working out, I think, how to get the best of it was what I thought during this game. But at times, you're being objective as possible. You're a bit like, that's the pace of the Premier League, Wirtz. You're going to have to get up to that quickly or the physicality. This is what you're in now. But it's the first game, so that's got to come as well. What do your stats say about Florian Wirtz?
I think he's done a great job there, to be fair. I couldn't get the extremities. I really couldn't. I was like, he wasn't amazing. Was he one of the better players on the pitch? Yes. Right, and let's get that out of the way first. There was times where he was absolutely head and shoulders above everybody else, right? And there were times where you were like, come on, that's a bit old cliche, but you've got to be a bit hard. You've got to be a bit firm. And if someone nudged him off the ball and an elbow or he expected a foul, you're like, you know what to get in the Premier League, right? So he's got to develop that side of his game. And I didn't like a couple of things he pulled out is a bit harsh, but it seemed like he was reluctant to go in for a 50-50, should we say. But that said, right, he's playing in the 10. This is different for people to get their head round, right? We have tweaked the system because we've bought a world-class 10. Right? Whether you think he would end up playing 2 10s or whatever else, but at the moment, he seems to want to play first in a 10 and then a 9. And
Great.
He gave you a 60% dual win rate for 10. That's not bad, considering he was a little bit at times buffled about. So 60% dual rate, decent. Didn't compete for an aerial. Right? So didn't have any aerials to worry about. Had one shot, right, which is a little bit disappointing because the shot, it was in a really good position. and he absolutely skies it. So in terms of quality, at 0% accuracy, he splits over the bar, and he reduces the XG on it by 100%. So it was poor, but it was a really good opportunity. He arrived late, got the ball, and sitting in the Bundesliga, he just bends it in the top corner. But for some reason, he bangs out of the bar. So that's unfortunate. But 73 touches, good, one of the highest. 48 mid-zone, 42% final third, right? So he's in the areas you want him to be, really.
Yeah.
Say, he's too deep, he's doing this. And I'm like, no. There's over 80% of his touches, actually near 90% of his touches, are from the mid to in the final third, right? So he wasn't dropping that deep, right? From what the stats suggest, carries second highest in the team, 31 carries, with 23% of those progressive and 48% of them into the final third. So when he picked the ball up, he passed it into the final third, right? Which he had accurate passing. Because he made 18 final third passes, or he carried it into the final third. So again, I think some of the rhetoric was, he wasn't doing enough. He was too deep. He wasn't getting it. He was, all right? He might not have been in the box. That's a different question. And his starting position might not have been in zone 14 or whatever you want to call it, right? The box outside the penalty box. But in terms of when we got in the ball in the right areas, he carried it or passed it effectively into the final third. And he only played 80 odd minutes. So it's not a fault thing, right? 75% pass accuracy. There were times, we'd expect him to be a bit, there was a couple of quick little moves which he underhit it or overhit it.
Yeah.
And again, that will come with a synchronicity. That's just how it is, right? 10% of our overall possession, which is second highest in the team. And the key thing, which I really didn't get, people said to me, I didn't create anything. Didn't do this, did it? And I'm like, he created the highest amount of threat in the team.
Wow.
23% of our threat was created by him. So we know what that happens to be. You can convert that to XG, you're in a very, very good place, right? And so everything else in terms of carrying, passing into the final third and creating threat in key areas, he did that. It just didn't quite come off. I think we said it earlier. There's a few little moves where it was a good wall pass. He then span out left or right. That's where you've got him now. Picked it up and then tried to play another around the corner, and it didn't quite come off.
True.
But on another day, they come off and we're 2-3 up, and we're absolutely laughing in this game, right? I think it's actually his ball that leads to the penalty, the sending off should have happened, right? So it's. I thought overall he defended better than I thought he would do. Right,
especially late on, he started nicking a few.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Right, I thought he defended late on. He put a sprint in. He did some really good work off the ball, more than I thought he would do. And I'm not saying he was going to be late. Please don't say that. But I just expected him to operate higher and not do that. I mean, he clocked 32.7k right as a top speed, and he did 23 sprints.
Nice.
Right, so an 8.3 total distance, 8.3k total distance. So again, that's not someone who hasn't put the effort in, right? Which I heard people talk about as well. I think he put the effort in. I think he carried it. He passed it well. Could he have been better? 100%.
Yeah.
Some of that is the players around him also need to get, like you said at the beginning, got to get used to playing with this guy who's a magnet. If he finds space. Yeah. Just give him the ball, just give him the ball and you'll find the players. And we just got to trust him a bit more. And also, he has to also understand that he's going to get an elbow in the back. He's going to get shoulder bar. He's got to ride it. He's just got to learn to deal with that physicality, spin the player, and like Thiago used to do, drop a shoulder and he'd be away. He's got that in his locker. He's just got to do it. So for me, I think he's very just, if you look at that spectrum you've said of he was awful and not awful, I'm not saying he's in the middle. I'd say slightly towards he was brilliant end of that spectrum. That makes sense. He wasn't brilliant, but he wasn't awful. I think I'd say it's about 60% if you look at your 100, not to 100 scale. There you go. That's probably where I'm at.
I think that's fair. Yeah, it's a fair assessment. Like you say, one of those comes off a little thing, it looks brilliant. So there is plenty to work with. But ultimately, as you say, things you've got to call out, got to get used to that Premier League physicality, which will come. And the team almost have got to get used to Florian Wirtz and vice versa and where it all fits in. So, we relied on individuals a bit more than the team synchronicity in this one, didn't we? Especially for all 4 goals. And it seems right to finish the 4th goal, Mr. Opening Day, the Egyptian king himself. I mean, 9 goals on the opening, 9th consecutive opening day goal. Insane. Totally unexpected, Barts, as well as in right foot, this side of the area.
Yeah.
Everything you don't expect, which maybe makes it even better. And you felt for Mo Salah because he's in front of us at the end. And you could see how, as well as it's affected everyone, he was so emotional with the Jota chance as well. But Salah, the opening day god, what do the stats say?
I mean, that goal, right? We spoke about how people reduce the quality of a chance, right? So that is a 0.11 chance scoring from there, right? Because it's quite an obscure angle. He's got 2 players in front of him. He ratcheted that up to 0.49. So he made it a coin flip from a 10%er.
Yeah.
That's how good that guy is, right? And he also chased, 92nd minute? He chases a ball into a channel, knocks off. We spoke about Wirtz needing to be a bit physical. Mo's been around the block for 9 years now. Out muscles the defender, gets the ball under control, cuts inside, and they're like, well, we're set, we're fine here. He's not going to score. Like you said, he's on his right foot. He ain't going to score here. He's going to look for a pass, and then he slots it, and the cup erupts. And I mean, he had 7% of our possession, right, which is lowest to the front 6, right? 60% passing, which is actually quite low for Mo. I know we like that force to take risks, but he's not really in the mid-70s.
Right.
17 final third passes, 6 progressive. That's not bad. Okay, that's pretty good for him. 91% receiving success, which is the highest of all the midfielders. And a couple of times that BVD pings it out to him, 40, 50 yard ball, and Mo just brings it down and plays. But he still managed 10% of our threat, which is I think 3rd highest in the total. So I don't think it was one of Mo's best games. Right? I'm just going to put that out there. I think he had a couple of good opportunities which he took. I think he had, I can't remember his shots yet now. I'm just going to have a quick little look. Mo had 3 shots, right? So again, and 2 of those on target with a save in the first. So I think he was effective. I think he tried to create for others. He didn't hit the first man a couple of times on a few of them. And again, that synchronicity wasn't quite there when he put him to an area and either free ball hadn't gone on the overlap or it hit someone else. So, but when you need a goal to kill a game and the ball's just punted forward, there's no one better in the Premier League, really. It was just knocked into our channel. And I'm thinking, we got a minute here. He's either going to hold it up, but no, he decides, you know what, I'm going to get the 4th goal, and he does it beautifully, and that's why we put the money. Really, I mean, unfortunately, I had a on my feed. The commentators were telling me it was the worst game they'd seen Mo Salah play for about 5 years, which I thought was a bit harsh. But and then he goes and scores, so it was pleasing. But no, I thought it wasn't quite godlike Mo level. Let's not get away from that. But I thought, again, he was just a nudge above average for me on that day. And in the key moments, he provided what we needed, which was a goal. And he was involved in a lot of good play for us. I think a lot of this, my takeaway from this game, and yours might be different, is I think the more they play together, the more it's in together. And I know everyone will say, well, why didn't you do the pre-season? And I just think, well, we haven't had Ekitike didn't sign until late. Yeah. Those 3 behind him also didn't play that many games together in pre-season. So you're not just getting used to playing together. You've effectively ripped up the entire playbook from last season, and you've put something in. So it will take time. Yes, we've had a long pre-season, and I probably would have expected it to be a little bit further along than it was. Yeah. But circumstances have led to us having a pause. Yeah, which is absolutely fair. And we are where we are. End of the day, we still kept going. Slot made some great tactical changes after he made the error, should we say. And we won. And we got 3 points. And these are all fixable. Yes, we could do with a couple of other signings. But I think overall, this is not, lose your head time. We're playing some exciting attacking football. We just have to sort out the balance in terms of that rest defence.
Yeah.
And then it will be absolutely fine.
I agree. I think and it's that word, there's lack of synchronicity. And this one showed that even with all 4 goals, you relied on individual brilliance rather than flowing team moves. It's a little bit what it was. And also a real mention for Mo Salah in terms of when the game's most chaotic and we're like, and it goes 2-2, who is going to dig us out, the proverbial? Well, he plays that ball, doesn't he, right into there, that beautiful cross, which the keeper kind of knocks up. Canate battles and Chiesa stakes it in. It all comes from that Mo cross, which is just teasing and causes panic. Who then gets the 4th to end it? Mo Salah. That's why you pay the man the big bucks, because when you really need it at the end and you say, we need some individual brilliance because we're not functioning brilliantly as a team, the Egyptian king gets it. But you're right. It's an interesting game. There's plenty to be positive about. There's plenty to work on at the same time. Slot ahead of Newcastle. We'll just be thinking like, how am I getting this pivot right? What's the balance? Where do we sit in transition? Do I push? And I know we did the interview with Carragher when he talked about, players going forward and if, the opposition players are there. I think away at St James's Park, you see very different at times. Well, I could be wrong. Well, we'll have to see what's unfold. But something to be positive about ultimately from this first game, wasn't there, Bart?
100%. I think there was a lot to be put. We scored 4 goals.
Yeah.
Right. We played some good football. Even with the not being quite synchronous with each other, I think we still played some good football. The signs were there. It's just fixing the little things, and Slot can do that. They've got 9 days. What is it now? We're day 3 into that, but there's a long period before St James's to see if Frimpong's okay, to adjust a few things, and you got Grav back. Now, Grav isn't an actual 6, but he played there all last season, so you'd imagine he comes into the pivot, and then we see what he's. I mean, that isn't far off starting the lineup. I don't know about you, but that's not far off. I would say Slot's first 11, bar maybe 2 players, and we'll see a bit more at St James's, I think, which will be who is his probably favourite 11.
It's true. And also, we'll all have opinions. Like I've got one for me. I think if you were to play the best 11 I can come up with what we have at the moment, people will shout at this because he scored a great goal, but Cody Gakpo would drop out. Wirtz would go left for me, almost Coutinho style coming in that we talked about before. And it would be Grav, Mack and Szoboszlai. And we just try and, dominate the midfield as much as you can at St James's Park. But that is probably one for another day. Ladies and gents, we talked about the team focus. Really mixed first half. We probably shaded it. 3 periods in the second half really was where everything happened. We relied on individual brilliance. But at the end of the day, the first day is just about getting the points on the door when everyone else is trying to do the same thing. Hard to overanalyze, but plenty to be excited about. All it leaves me to say as ever is Bart, for the time, the insight, for providing us those stats. It's as much appreciated as ever, pal.
No worries, anytime.
And ladies and gents, that was another positional play for Anfield Index.